now to a conversation about drinking. We want to separate some fact from fiction here. A new report finds fewer Americans are drinking alcohol these days. According to a Gallup poll, 53% of U.S. adults now say moderate drinking is bad for their health. That's a record high and up from 28% back in 2015. These numbers are being driven by younger adults. About 2/3 of them, 18 to 34 years old, believe moderate drinking is unhealthy. Older adults are less likely, with about half of Americans age 55 or older believing this. So we're trying to understand why, and for that we go to experts with answers. What's an okay amount to drink and why the number's changing? Dr. Asha Sajahan is a primary care physician at Corewell Health. Did I get your name right?
Yes, you did.
I was so concerned about it. You're a primary care physician based in Farmington Hills, but you work everywhere and you have all the answers. First of all, this trend, is this kind of on par with the younger generations kind of realizing what effects things have on our bodies?
Absolutely. So I think in the past, when I say past, I'm talking about pandemic time.
Okay.
There was a big spike in people drinking. And I think that what was happening.
Sometimes we understand why.
A lot of people were drinking, people were staying at home, people were working from home. And I think it became just very acceptable to have a glass of wine with every meal or, you know, every day. And I think that a few years ago, just about a year ago, the former Surgeon General came out with a recommendation stating that the third leading cause of cancer was alcohol.
Oh.
So I think people have kind of like taken on to that and they've realized that it's really not good for your health to drink. And especially Gen Z, I think there's just a lot of other alternatives and it's just not as cool, quote unquote, to drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that also just kind of a larger trend you see among your younger patients who have a better concept of what's good and what's bad for us?
Yeah, I think that our younger generation is on social media and a huge hashtag is, you know, sober living, hashtag sober living. So a lot of young individuals, they're really into mocktails, healthier lifestyles, ways to keep their mental health healthy. And I think people know that if you drink more, you have worsened anxiety, you have worsened depression, worsened mood, worsened sleep, like all of these things. I think it's become more common that people know that it's just not good for you.
So looking at the long-term effects, which is, you know, where your expertise is, you know, how that moderates to heavy drinking, I think we know what the effects are, but we don't really know what the damage it does to our body.
Yeah, so there is a lot of damage if you think about it. So what alcohol does, and the reason why it's so bad, is that it breaks down into substances that actually deconstruct our DNA. So it damages our DNA. It also has problems when we sleep. So when you think alcohol helps you sleep, it definitely does not. That's a myth. So sleeping, you don't get that REM sleep when you drink. So that's that restorative sleep. So then this leads to more cognitive decline, increased rates of dementia. These are all things that happen. And then the cancer risk is huge, especially for head and neck cancers, for liver cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer. There's a lot of really negative effects with drinking. And as we mentioned, the mental health components.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a short 90-second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what healthy levels there are, if there's any. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Asha Sajahan. I knew I was going to mess it up the second time I did it, with Corewell Health. So we're talking about the decrease in drinking. It's always asked, or at least it was asked in the newsroom this morning, what is a healthy amount of alcohol? I think your answer is probably 0.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some people who still want to drink. So where's that level at?
Yeah, so there is really no amount of alcohol that's considered safe.
Okay.
And I think in the past there was this thought that drinking is helpful for heart health, which is a big myth. So if alcohol was available.
How did that become a thing? Why would that be good for our heart? Why do we think that?
So I think there was a thought that it would increase your HDL, which is your good cholesterol, but you can also increase your HDL by having grapes without that alcohol effect. So I think
that's what wine is. No, I'm kidding.
So I think the thing is with, like for example, if alcohol was available as a pill, no doctor would prescribe it for your health. Okay. So you know, so the benefits of that. The risks outweigh the benefits. But if we're talking about guidelines and like how much is safe, I think the guidelines are going to change with all the coming research. But right now for women, it's 1 glass of an alcoholic beverage.
Okay.
And then for men, it's 2 glasses.
Okay.
But you got to
per meal, per week, per month?
per day.
Per day, okay.
But you have to keep
Not per meal.
Yeah, not per meal. But you have to also think about binge drinking as a problem too, because sometimes people will say, I don't have 1 glass a day, but they might have, 4 glasses on the weekend. So
okay.
that's considered not good.
Right,
So
okay.
I'd say moderation is special occasions maybe.
And I'm guessing here that those guidelines are an average, right? Because there are so many factors. Your current health situation, your weight, like all of that, it plays a factor.
Absolutely, yeah, because there's a lot of empty calories in alcohol. If you're trying to lose weight, you probably don't want to drink any alcohol. There's just a lot of variables there. So there's really not a guideline like, oh, doctor said that you can drink 1 a day, so I'm going to do 1 a day. It really just depends. So that's when I would say talk to your personal doctor who knows you, that has a relationship with you, knows your health conditions to have that conversation.
Going back to what we started talking about earlier about the younger generations, and they just seem to be more aware and conscious of drinking and the effects on it. We were talking in the break that mocktails are such a big thing right now. You go to a bar and sometimes it seems like there are more mocktails than cocktails.
Yeah.
But that could be a challenge too?
Yeah, I mean, I love the mocktails. I think it's a great alternative. I think that's helped change the culture.
Yeah.
People are always like, let's go out for drinks, and then it's sort of like you feel weird if you're not having alcohol. Now there's an alternative, so I think it's great. I just think you have to watch the sugar content. So there are mocktails that have natural ingredients like ginger or cucumbers or berries. Those are great, but you want to try to stay away from the ones that have too much syrup. The syrup has a lot of excess sugar. So then you're kind of having the calorie issue, even though you don't have the alcohol issue. So you don't have the damaging effects of alcohol and the poor sleep, the increased cancer risk, but you have the sugar.
So you're saying water.
Water, lemon water, I don't know. You can have, fruits and vegetables, healthy living.
When you have patients come to you and say that they are looking to cut down on their alcohol intake or on some of these sugary things, what do you tell them in terms of the best way? Because it's also a mental game. Like sometimes you just really want that sugar, that taste, or the alcohol sometimes.
Right. So I think the thing is if you're craving alcohol, that's a problem. Right. So you should definitely talk to your doctor. The first place to start is with your primary care. That's a number one issue. If you think you're drinking too much, you probably are. And if you want to cut back, I would just start kind of like how we do dry January. Just start with, I'm going to try not having alcoholic beverage or for a week, and then extend it to the next week and the next week. And if you slip up, you start over again. Or doing the substitutes, like mocktails are better than having alcohol. And then, if you're having too many mocktails with too much sugar, you might want to cut that down.
Right.
But it's one step at a time. And I think the great thing about this is the young generation is actually teaching the older generation that it's okay not to drink.
Right. Yeah. What I found interesting is that friends of mine that have either cut back or cut out alcohol, how quickly they start to feel healthy. Healthier.
Absolutely. You feel more clear. You lose weight. If you stop drinking, you can lose 5 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds in a month because of those empty calories. And it's just like you're clearer, mental health is better, your cancer risk is down, your heart health is better, because actually if you drink, it increases your blood pressure. It gives you a higher chance of having arrhythmias. It gives you all of these negative consequences. And actually for women, perimenopausal and menopausal, it worsens their menopausal symptoms.
Oh, really?
So a lot of women who are in their 50s, they might say, I can't even tolerate a drink anymore. And it's because it worsens the symptoms because of the increases hormones, so it increases estrogen. So there's a lot of kind of negative things that alcohol brings to the table.
Right, a whole list of reasons not to be drinking. All right, doctor, thank you so much for coming in this
Thank
morning.
you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.